On the night of December 6, 2014, emergency responders were called to a remote stretch of road outside Courtland, Mississippi. A car was engulfed in flames, burning intensely against the dark winter sky. At first glance, it looked like a vehicle fire, tragic but not unusual. That assumption ended the moment responders realized someone had been inside the car. A young woman, severely burned, had somehow escaped the flames. She staggered onto the road, collapsed, and waited for help. Her injuries were catastrophic. Her clothes had melted into her skin. She was barely able to speak. Her name was Jessica Lane Chambers. She was 19 years old. Within 24 hours, she would be dead. More than a decade later, her murder remains unsolved. Courtland is a small town in Panola County, surrounded by farmland and quiet back roads. Violent crime was rare. That night, the fire on Young Road stood out immediately. Investigators later determined the blaze was intentionally set. An accelerant had been used. The fire burned so hot and so quickly that much of the vehicle was destroyed before firefighters could control it. Jessica was airlifted to a burn unit in Memphis, Tennessee. Doctors placed her on life support. Despite burns covering most of her body, she remained conscious for a brief period. And during that time, she spoke. While receiving medical care, Jessica attempted to identify the person responsible for setting her on fire. What she said, or what witnesses believed she said, would become the foundation of the prosecution's case. Medical staff and investigators reported that Jessica tried to say a name. Some heard Eric, others heard Derek. A few believed she said Erica. Her speech was severely impaired. Burns to her mouth and throat made her words difficult to understand. There was no audio recording, no video, no written statement signed by Jessica, only witness recollections, later repeated in court. On December 7, 2014, Jessica Chambers died from her injuries. From that moment forward, the case became a struggle between what investigators believed and what could be proven. Investigators soon focused on Quinton Tellis, a man Jessica had reportedly been seeing shortly before her death. Tellis acknowledged knowing Jessica but denied being with her on the night of the fire. He denied any involvement in her death. Despite the denial, prosecutors built their case around two key points: Jessica's alleged dying declaration, circumstantial evidence tying Tellis to her in the days leading up to the fire. There was no conclusive DNA evidence linking Tellis to the burned vehicle, no fingerprints recovered from the scene, no eyewitness who saw him set the fire. Still, in 2016, Tellis was charged with capital murder. The first trial began in 2017. Prosecutors argued that Jessica had identified Tellis with her final words and that his relationship with her placed him at the center of the crime. The defense challenged nearly every part of that argument. They questioned the reliability of the alleged dying declaration, the lack of physical evidence, inconsistencies in the timeline presented by investigators. After deliberations, the jury could not reach a unanimous verdict. The result, a hung jury. In 2018, prosecutors tried again. Once more, the case relied heavily on testimony about what Jessica may have said in her final moments. Once more, the defense emphasized the absence of forensic proof, and once more the jury could not agree. A second hung jury. For many observers, the outcome confirmed what the trials had revealed. The evidence, as presented, was not strong enough to eliminate reasonable doubt. In 2019, prosecutors announced they would not pursue a third trial. Quinton Tellis was released on bond. He has never been convicted in the murder of Jessica Chambers. The decision left the case in legal limbo. No conviction, no acquittal, and no new suspect publicly charged. Despite years of investigation and two trials, critical questions remain unanswered. Investigators confirmed an accelerant was used to start the fire. However, its source was never publicly clarified. No container was conclusively tied to a suspect. The extent of residue testing was never fully disclosed. Fire destroys evidence, but questions persist. Were all potential DNA samples tested? Were alternative suspects thoroughly examined? Were all forensic results presented in full? Public records do not provide clear answers. Jessica's final words became the cornerstone of the prosecution, yet no recording exists. Witness accounts conflict. Her physical condition made speech unreliable. In court, this ambiguity proved impossible to overcome. Investigators reconstructed parts of Jessica's movements before the fire, but gaps remain. Why was she on a remote road late at night? Who was the last person with her? How did the situation escalate to such violence? These questions have never been conclusively resolved. Jessica's family has remained vocal in their desire for justice. Her mother, Lisa Chambers, has spoken publicly about the pain of seeing the case stall without closure. For the family, the absence of a conviction does not mean the absence of truth. It means the truth has yet to be proven. As of today, no one has been convicted. No new suspect has been publicly charged. The case remains officially unsolved. Law enforcement maintains the investigation is open, but there have been no major public developments in recent years. Jessica Chambers was 19 years old. She died on a dark road inside a burning car, and despite years of investigation, her case remains unresolved. Some cases end with answers, some end with verdicts, others end only with questions. The murder of Jessica Chambers is one of those cases, defined not only by what investigators believe happened, but by what could never be proven beyond doubt. Some truths are buried, some are disputed, and some are still waiting to be uncovered.